I want to briefly share with you something that I've come to my understanding that many are the problems that we face in our world today, and we do not know that such problem is as a result of disorderliness in the society. Now, when I say problem, I'm talking about from the objective standpoint. You understand? It could be in the marriage, it could be in your life, it could be in anything, even in the society as a whole. Now, problem are result of disorder. Now, we can also say disorder is seen as chaos. Now, when you see chaos in your life, when you see chaos in your environment, you have come to understand that disorderliness is already existing within that environment. Now, that is what it means. Now, the first thing that comes to a common man mind is to pray. Now, that is not prayer is not what bring change to disorderliness. Now, first thing is to understand that there are principles that guide everything on earth. There are principles that protect the universe. There are principles that protect man. So if that principles are not in place, then we see disorderliness, which is same as chaos. Now, the only solution is to go for knowledge. We can say that chaos is same as darkness, and now order is the same as light. Light means knowledge, and darkness means ignorance. So when we experience disorderliness in our society, the first step, like I said, is to go for light, which means knowledge. Now, when you come for knowledge, you will understand that there are some certain principles that guides the universe, that guides your life, that guides every creature that you ever see, even in your marriage and all. There are principles that bring orderliness in that area that you are facing problem. So you just have to know that. Now, the only way through which this principle can be applied is when we go for knowledge, when we begin to understand, when we begin to be enlightened. So the very first thing that even the supreme deity bring into order the moment he saw chaos was to what? Pronounce light. And that light he was talking about wasn't the physical light we talk about, or the light that come from the sun or whatsoever. Religious people will make you see understand that the light that the world was talking about was the light that come from sun. Or no, that is not what it means. It means he pronounced orderliness, he pronounced knowledge, he make begin to put things in order, he begin to guide everything by a law. You get my point? So law, same as principle, is what protects everything. So for us to have orderliness in our society, in everything we do, into that problem that we are having, then we need to go for the principle, which means the law that guides us and the society. So if we cannot understand this principle, if we cannot have a clarity of what these principles are, then we will not be able to provide solution to that disorderliness, which is same as chaos. So chaos signifies darkness, and knowledge signifies order. So you need light to shine forth in that darkness, which is chaos, so that orderliness will come in place. So I want you to understand that you just got to read. You just got to fill your mind, understand this principle through study, through books reading. One of the things that our society today, our generation today, do not value is knowledge. Now, there are certain knowledge that guides us. There are certain knowledge that brings us into manifestation of who we are. There's some certain knowledge that brings solution to the problem that we pass through. And the moment we come in contact with this certain information and we apply this information, then we begin to see results in our life. Now, I said something. I said, oh, disorderliness, disorder, you understand, is a result of ignorance, in the sense that when we do not know some certain principle that guide us or guide the society or the creature or whatsoever, then we begin to abuse it, in the sense that we begin to see the malfunction of what actually entails. Now, look at it. I have a knowledge of what purpose is. Now, before I had that knowledge, I've lived my life not knowing what purpose is, and I begin to have depression, begin to have some life challenges and all. You understand? And there are many people out there who also pass through some that same situation. Now, the moment I dedicated myself to reading, I begin to understand how this thing works. Now, I have here with me books. I'm giving you example. Now, when I read this book by Miles Moron, Pursuit of Purpose, I begin to understand that I was born for something meaningful. That my life was not just for waking up or just going out. No, my life is here on earth to bring change to the society because I was born for a purpose. Then I begin to go further to understand the principle of power of vision. And I begin to then I read understanding your potential and releasing your potential and maximizing your potential. The moment I read this five book, you understand, I begin to have enlightenment within me. And my subconscious mind begin to accept these things. And I begin to see that my life is not just this. My life is not just about waking up. Now, the problem, that disorderliness that I was passing through before, begins to what? To eradicate instantly. Because why? I begin to encounter a knowledge. I begin to encounter something that is bringing me to transformation, something that is bringing me to understand the principle that guides my life before it was created. I begin to understand that my life was created because there was a need for it. And now, though not just that, but there's a principle that guides it, that the moment I find that principle, then my life will be in order. That is how it works. So whenever we have disorderliness within our family, most time in marriages and all, it's not time to be praying. It's time for you to find the principle that guides you, that guides that marriage. Find the principle that bring you into the rightful, truthful principle that will bring you into manifestation of transformation here on earth. That is how it is. So your life can only be transformed, your life can only be upright when you begin to find the principle that guide you, that brings you into discovering the laws that will bring you into orderliness.